I sat in the hospital room unable to hold back my tears. My mom was in a coma for a week and the doctors didn't make any predictions. And all of this because of a stupid video in TikTok. Suddenly, behind the glass door of the room, I saw a little girl in a bright dress who was circling around her parents. A lump rose in my throat. I remember dancing with my mom and dad when I was a kid. It seemed that our family was perfect then. But one day, Dad left us. After he left, Mom and I were desperately short of money, and she had to find a second job. We practically stopped seeing each other, and I felt so alone. One day, Mom was so exhausted that she forgot about my birthday, and I cried all night. And in the morning, I decided that I couldn't go on like this any longer. I had to find some money so that Mom didn't have to work so hard anymore. Only how to do it. After all, I had no special talents, and it never worked out with part-time jobs no matter how much I tried. And suddenly, I got an idea. I could shoot videos for TikTok, get to the top, and earn a lot of money. I started a channel and started posting videos, but they didn't even get 10 views. I was desperate. But one night, everything changed. I was late coming home from school that day. I was so tired. To stay awake on the way, I looked through the TikTok feed. Now there were some crazy dances in the top. And then, as I approached my house, I heard loud music. I was startled and quickened my pace. What's going on? Mom would never have turned it on. I opened the door and saw a dancing silhouette in the middle of the room. Mom? She was rocking in front of the TV, moving to the beat of some Brazilian song. Mom danced better than all the bloggers I saw today. She was so engrossed that she didn't even notice me. What if? Then I opened TikTok and started filming her. Mom, you're just a beauty. I even wanted to join in. But no, I was too exhausted today. When I went up to my room, I immediately fell on the bed. As I was falling asleep, I thought that my mother would be angry if she knew that I had posted that video. I would delete it right away in the morning. The sound of notifications jerked me out of my sleep. Sleepily, I picked up the phone and just couldn't believe my eyes. Hundreds of new followers. I felt dizzy. Then I went into the TikTok trends and saw my video with Mom in the first place. But how? Mom became the star of TikTok for the night? There were a lot of messages and one of them was from a producer of top TikTok stars. Maybe it was a prank, but the profile was real. The producer said he was looking for new faces and asked if I could film my mother's dancing on a permanent basis. My God. Mom would kill me if she found out. But on the other hand, there was nothing wrong with dancing. Hesitantly, I said I could. A minute later, the producer sent a reply. Great, I'm waiting for the video in 2 days. In the meantime, take the advantage. In the next second, $1,000 were on my card. Wow, I had never had so much money in my life. And then I got a new notification. Wow. Sweetie, Claire, one of the famous TikTokers of our city, befriended me. She wrote that she was inviting me to her party, but I immediately hung my head. I didn't have any clothes for this. Claire had impeccable taste. I thought about it. Hesitantly, I texted her with pleasure, but maybe we should go shopping together first. Of course. Cool idea. She replied, wow, I would go shopping with sweetie Claire herself. At noon, we met at the mall. At first, it was so awkward. I felt like a mousy girl next to such a cool girl, but then I relaxed. We bought everything we liked, and it was so cool. True, Claire said that she forgot her card at home, but I had no problem paying for her purchases. But when I got home, I saw that there were only $2 left in the account. The advance was over so fast. It was necessary to film a new video as soon as possible, and then the producer would send more money. I ran into the living room. My mother had just come home from work, and she looked tired. She was very surprised when I asked her to dance. Please, Mom, you were so hot last night. But my mother suddenly blushed. She thought no one had seen her. Haltingly, she said that she had allowed herself to drink too much, but it would not happen again. And what to do now? The producer was waiting for my new TikTok video. But then I thought of Claire. She was a popular TikToker. Maybe she had some ideas. I dialed Claire. Burning with embarrassment, I told her about the problem. My mother was dancing because she was drunk, and she didn't want to do it again. Claire was silent, but suddenly she had an idea. I needed to get my mom drunk, and then she would start rocking, and I would record it all on video. I felt uneasy at the suggestion. This was despicable. But Claire suddenly said that it wasn't a crime. In addition, I could get her drunk just once, and then just cut the video into many small videos. so I would have enough material for a whole month. Claire, you're a genius, but how do I buy a drink? Claire told me not to worry. She'd think of something. I still couldn't believe that such a popular girl supported me. A few hours later, Claire came to me with a bottle of whiskey. I stole it from my brother, she explained. I was glad that there was a chance to make a video on time. But inside, I still thought, what if this was wrong? But I tried to bring about. Mom would forgive me when I earned a lot of money. After all, she would no longer have to work all day. Claire and I hid a camera on the refrigerator, and as soon as Mom came, I immediately suggested that she try the new whiskey-flavored tea. While she was washing her hands, I made the usual tea and was about to pour the whiskey, but my hand froze in indecision. What was I doing? If I didn't make up my mind now, it would be too late. With trembling hands, I quickly poured the alcohol into a cup and rushed to my room. Claire was already watching my mom through the monitor. Mom sat down, picked up the cup, and took a sip. My knees were shaking. What if she realized it was real whiskey? But Mom continued to drink. After a while, she pushed the cup away and started flipping through something on her phone. Damn, it wouldn't work. We needed a plan B. Then I noticed the Bluetooth speaker on the windowsill. Exactly. I connected it to my phone and turned on the music. Mom smiled and began to move her foot in time to the melody. But this was not enough in desperation. I turned on the same Brazilian song that my mom danced to for the first time. And suddenly Mom got up and let her hair down. I couldn't believe it. She started dancing. Mom, you're unreal. Claire also smiled happily, and when we had already filmed through, she said that she would edit everything and release it herself. What would I do without you, Claire? The new video went viral the next day. Hundreds of people in TikTok tagged my account. The producer said that he would transfer more money soon. But I needed to keep that up. I came home from school in a great mood. But as soon as I entered the house, I heard sobs. Mom, she was sitting on the couch, tears streaming down her cheeks. What happened? Mom said that they wanted to fire her because her drunken dancing undermined the reputation of the company. Mom didn't understand at all. A lump rose in my throat. God, I had to admit. Through my tears, I told her about the video in TikTok. Mom, it was all my fault. She immediately jumped up and said that trick had ruined her whole life. Then she grabbed her bag and ran outside. I ran after her. I'm sorry, please. Suddenly, I saw a car coming around the corner. My stomach went cold. Mom, stop! The car braked abruptly, but it was too late. The impact knocked Mom down. I ran to her, trembling with fear. The driver had already called an ambulance, and tears were streaming down my cheeks. It was all because of those stupid videos. I spent the next 24 hours in the hospital at her bedside. I didn't know what would happen next, but in the evening, I suddenly felt Mom squeeze my hand. Was she awake? Barely moving her lips. Mom whispered to me to delete those videos, and again, fell silent. Mommy, I promise I'll do it. With shaking hands, I pulled out my phone and logged into my profile, but suddenly I was thrown out of the account. I was surprised, but I entered the password again. An error. What's the matter? Then I saw that a new video with Mom's dance appeared in my profile. I was taken aback. How was this possible? After all, no one had access to the account except me and Claire. I gave her the password myself so that she would release the edited videos. Everything inside me collapsed. Did she take my account and now she was messaging with the producer? I thought we were friends. I immediately ran to Claire, and when she went outside, I blurted out that she had to delete the video. Claire raised her eyebrows and said I was the first one to release my mom's drunken dance. I didn't seem to care about her reputation back then. How dare she? I lunged at Claire, snatched the phone from her, and ran down the street. Just as I was about to delete the entire video, a message came to Claire's phone from the producer. You'll be a millionaire in a month. He wrote, I would definitely become one, but now I was concerned about something else, the health of my mom. At the same time, I deleted my profile on TikTok along with all the videos. Oddly, it made me feel relieved. Claire kept shouting after me, but I just called a taxi and went to the hospital. I so wanted Mom to come to her senses. I was sitting next to her bed and I was startled by a sharp sound on the devices. What happened? Was Mom getting worse? Excited? I ran for the doctor, but when we returned, we saw that Mom came to her senses. My heart was bursting with joy. In tears, I ran to her and begged her to forgive me, and suddenly a man with flowers appeared in the doorway. For a moment, I was taken aback. Dad, he sat down next to my mother, took her hand, and asked for forgiveness. I couldn't believe. Did he decide to return? Dad said he was a fool to leave us. And there wasn't a day when he didn't regret it. And when he saw the rousing video on TikTok with Mom, he realized how much he loved her and wanted to return. Mom smiled even more and said that now she would dance even more. And she wouldn't need alcohol for that. I couldn't believe I almost lost Mom in the pursuit of someone else's love. I promised myself that my family would always come first, and I gave my parents a big hug. Latex bodysuit was so tight that I couldn't breathe, and the fishnet ties painfully dug into my thighs. I opened the dressing room curtain and waited in horror for my mom to say something, but she looked at me in silence, turned around, and went somewhere. It was clearly over the top. But a couple of minutes later, she came back with a fluffy Playboy girl tail and said it would perfectly complement my look. It all started one strange morning. I was having breakfast when my mother ran into the kitchen yelling that she needed help. I was the only one who could save her. I finished my sandwich while my mom dragged me into the car. What's going on? She started the engine and asked for my college's address. What's the point? My mom was never interested in my studies. She was at the parties all day long. As soon as we drove away from the house, my mom asked me to pretend to be her friend. I think she fell in love with the guy from my college, and now she wants to seduce him. Mom, are you crazy? We pulled up to the college and stopped at the main entrance. Mom pointed a finger at one of the guys. Here he is. My classmate, Frank? It was like an electric shock. I've been in love with him for a year. We've only talked a couple of times, but it was enough to understand that we were soulmates. And now my mother and I are pinning for the same guy. You will help me, right? My mother's voice brought me back to reality. I hesitated. This is some kind of nonsense. No one will believe that we are friends. And then my mom blurted out that if I didn't agree, she wouldn't pay for my studies anymore. I could tell by her attitude that she wasn't joking after she gave birth to me at 17. My mom never tried to get an education. I didn't want such a fate for myself. Hesitantly, I still agreed to help her seduce Frank. Hopefully she'll switch to another guy soon. My mom always does that. Mom decided that I would take her to the party where Frank would be, and then Mom would do everything herself. Scrolling through college students' Facebook pages, I found out that one guy's parents have left, and he's going to have a Playboy-style party. My mother was delighted, but I was not in the mood for jokes. I hoped at the last that rabbit ears would be enough for the costume. At the set time, we're standing on the doorstep. I was burning with shame because of the tight bodysuit. But my mom was delighted. Some drunk guys were whistling to us from the other side of the street. I pressed the doorbell hard. Hurry up and let us in. But when my classmate Anne opened the door, it turned out that everyone at the party was in ordinary clothes. Am I being played? Anne explained that the other girls were too shy to come in revealing costumes, and asked what my friend's name was. Ma? I started but then stopped. Melanie. My mother gave me a reproachful look as she came in. I almost revealed her. While my mother hovered in front of the mirror, I decided to look around the house. Suddenly, I saw Frank sweetly smiling at some girl. My stomach clenched. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. Then my mother came back, and I thought that since she had noticed Frank with this girl, she'd decide to give up her crazy idea. But that didn't happen. My mother said that some youngsters are not a rival to her, and as soon as Frank went to get them drinks, Mom grabbed a burning candle from the table and went to that girl. Mom, stop! I saw her decisively holding the candle right to the girl's hair, and her luxuriant curls burnt into flame in an instant. Fortunately, the fire was quickly extinguished, but Frank's girlfriend almost lost her hair. My mom was happy that she got rid of her rival so easily. She was about to suck up to Frank, but I heard that the guys were going to call the police. We're leaving. Just what we need, the cops.
My mother gave Frank a languid look and introduced herself. God, this is so embarrassing. The next day, Mom dragged me outside to follow Frank and accidentally meet him. Mom found his Instagram page and saw that he usually spends time playing gambling machines, and she took me there. Against the backdrop of teenagers in oversized hoodies, she looked too provocative in her tight dress. Everyone was looking at us, but my mother didn't mind. She was looking for Frank. Fortunately, he wasn't there. We were just about to leave when my mom called out. Here he is, and she dragged me somewhere. Frank was playing the dance platform. How cool he was dancing. I stared at him, and of course he noticed. Embarrassed, I approached him and immediately apologized for yesterday. But then my mom chimed in. She started bragging about how he could dance on dance platforms as well as Scott Pilgrim from the horror movie. What? Before I could protest, my mom grabbed my arm and immediately dragged me to the dance platform. I didn't dance at all, and neither did my mom. But my mom tried so hard. She was even sweating. And I was helplessly twitching, hoping to get a little bit into the rhythm. I thought it couldn't get any worse. But suddenly, during the next movement, my mom brushed against me and I lost my balance. Frank tried to catch me, but I fell and twisted my leg. It hurt so bad. He examined my ankle and said that there was no fracture. I just needed to ice it. My mom began to convince Frank that I was alright. Offered to go to another platform. But Frank refused. You should have seen my mom's face. She was burning with jealousy. I went to college the next day even though my leg still hurt. Frank asked me how I was feeling at every break. It was so nice. He said I was cool. He wished we'd talked before. He did soften me up. Could we really be something? But Frank immediately destroyed all my hopes. He asked if my friend was free for the weekend. It was like a bucket of ice water was poured over me. He had a crush on my mom after all. Fighting back tears, I said I'd pass on the invitation and said goodbye to Frank. My mom was preparing for a date all evening, sorting through dresses and thinking about what makeup would suit her best. I just wanted to disappear. My life was falling apart. In the morning, when she and Frank left, I burst into tears. What should I do if things worked out for them? Pretend to be my mother's friend until I'm old? No, I can't do that. Frank may not have chosen me, but he needs to know the truth. I tried to call him, but the phone was offline. Then I began to write to my classmates. Maybe someone knew the address of Frank's cottage, but no one answered. I was already desperate, but one girl answered me, and I immediately called a taxi. As soon as I arrived, I immediately rushed to knock on the door. No one opened it, but I kept going, and finally, Frank looked out, surprised. At the back of the house, I saw my mother sitting carelessly with a glass of wine in her hands. It made me so angry. There was nothing left to lose, so I turned to Frank and told him the most important thing. My mother was visiting him, and I had been in love with him for a year. I was relieved to admit it. How unbearable it was to carry this burden. Mom jumped up from the couch, throwing her glass on the floor. She shouted that I was a traitor and ran into the street only in dress. Frank was taken aback at first, but quickly pulled himself together and said that we needed to find her. It could be dangerous in the forest. After all, we were quite far from the city. We immediately went in search of her. I was so excited. I just wanted to tell the truth, but it turned out I just messed it up. Why did Frank react so calmly? Suddenly, he said that he had known the truth for a long time. Someone from college recognized my mom at the party, and rumors spread fast. At first, it was just fun for him to watch this, but soon he really liked me. But for my mom, he had a special plan. Frank wanted her to meet his father, because she was definitely his type. I felt so ashamed that I thought my whole face blushed. We walked through the forest for a long time and called for my mom, but she was nowhere to be found. We were already cold ourselves when we suddenly came to an old bus stop. And there was Mom. She was sitting there in her little dress and was already fainting from the cold. I ran to her and hugged her. It was great that she was okay. Frank immediately gave her his jacket, and we called a taxi. We went back to the cottage. We were met at the door by a polite and handsome man, Frank's father. He was surprised to see us like this and said we could use some hot tea. I even thought that he would really be a great match for my mother. But my mother, when she looked at Frank's father, was taken aback. Without taking her eyes off him, she whispered, "Is it really you?" Then she slowly shifted her gaze and said, "Lily, this is your father. Say hello." I could feel my legs faltering. I think I just found out that I had been in love with my own brother for a year.